Prescott a pair of touchdowns. He's just thrown his first career interception. Rodgers is still in search of his first touchdown pass in the second half of a game this year. They'll take any touchdown, however they can get it right now. Trailing as we begin the fourth quarter in Lambeau Field, 20-6. Early movement. And a throw to the end zone, and it is too high. Oh, my goodness. Randall Cobb wide open. And Rodgers is wondering why no penalty flag was thrown. It was not.
Well, I am too. I thought they clearly got him right in the middle. Tell exactly who it was that they got. It looked like it might have been Cedric Thornton there in the middle, but I thought it was a penalty as well. And Rodgers thought that he had a free play, but even with that, you got to hit the open guy. You got an open receiver, Cobb, in the end zone for a touchdown, and he airmails him.
And now it's 3rd and 10. Rodgers a pump fake and the ball batted down at the line of scrimmage. So you get the takeaway on the interception thrown by Prescott. And it's a field goal try again.
And again, this crowd's just not happy about it. And
tell you what, David Irving is turning out to make some huge plays for this Cowboy defense.
Well, big stop there, big stop by this defense. You know, with outstanding field position to only give up a field goal opportunity.
Crosby from 34 yards out, and it is good, but that's all the Packers can muster so far. Brett Favre, the Hall of Famer, will join us when we come back. Dallas in front, 20-9.
Bay's Game on Fox is sponsored by Cadillac and by the new Bacon King sandwich, only at Burger King.
All-time greats, and look, when you're in my spot right now and you got Brett Favre and Troy Aikman, I'm just going to shut up. Troy, go ahead. Brett, it's great to have you with us, man. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be back here and to be honored again. So what a special feeling.
Well, you look inside some of the numbers, and obviously they speak for themselves. But look at these two guys that I have the privilege of standing next to right now.
There's one that stands out to me a little more than the other one.
You mean the
Troy's
second
over
one
here
there?
laughing. He knows. And too many times it was him beating up on me.
I was going to say, yeah, and we had some great matchups during those years, and all those games that were played in Dallas. And now it seems whenever these two teams meet, they're playing here at Lambeau. I know you wish it was like that.
I don't know if you know what, Troy. I don't know if we could beat you guys. We came close, but y'all were as a complete team as I've ever seen. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I mean, y'all to play with y'all like we did a couple of times was pretty special. We'd love to have beaten you. We'd love to have played you here, but I don't know. I mean, y'all were good. Really good.
Well, talk about what it meant to come back here today. A little better weather than the last time you were here in November.
I was kind of, you're absolutely right, but I was kind of hoping for some sleet or something.
That'd be Lambeau-esque, right?
I mean, come on.
It's the way it's supposed to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's a little mild today. Although Dallas is not making it mild.
Quick hit goes to Beasley. He'll be short on a second down throw. You had a chance when we showed you saying hello down there a moment ago to Dak Prescott. You're still following the game, I know, very closely. What are your thoughts on this young man?
I'm probably no different than anyone else. I'm extremely impressed with the way he's played, with the poise that he's shown. And I'll be honest with you, I thought coming into this game it would be too big for him. Shows you what I know. I mean, coming into Lambeau Field for anyone is never easy, especially when they're playing. Their defense is playing outstanding, and I just thought it'd be too hostile of an environment for him, but he's handled it just as well as he has at home.
It's a big third down momentum play here. And they look down the field, and wide open is Lucky Whitehead. He's already made one big play in the game, and now another.
Oh, man.
You said uh-oh as soon as the play fake.
I tell you what, great view from up here.
Well, they go off the play fake
from up here, yeah.
Yeah, and you see that they're in man coverage on the back end, and Lucky Whitehead, he runs right by Gunner. Gunner takes the bite on the play fake in the backfield, not playing his man, and they've got an easy completion for another big game.
Good play call, too.
13 minutes to go. Whitehead has been primarily a kickoff return man for the Cowboys, and he has made two big plays in this game. They hand it to Ezekiel Elliott and tripped up behind the line of scrimmage, and a flag comes in. You know, I want to ask you on the flip side, Brett, as we await this penalty call. We have seen Aaron Rodgers struggle again today. And, I mean, we brought up earlier that he's tired of talking about it. We can tell already. Mike McCarthy's tired.
The hands to the face, number 95, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
What do you think Aaron Rodgers might be going through right now?
You know, I think, first of all, if you play long enough, you go through times where, call it a slump, if you will. And I haven't watched enough to be a critic.
Sure.
An expert on what his play's like. I think there's so many factors that go into it. Troy knows this. But it gets to where it's a mental struggle to just block it out and play. And, you know, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. That's not going to change. Do you have spurts where you don't play as well? Sure. And then you press. And when you press, usually bad things happen again. He needs a break or two. You know, will he get it today? Will he get it next week? I don't know. But, I mean, the guy's a great quarterback. And I mean, that's the bottom line.
Sure.
Who's struggling a little bit for whatever reason.
Well, they've been spoiled by quarterback play right here in Dallas. I mean, in Green Bay for the better part of 25 years.
Yes, they have, and they've been spoiled in Dallas since Romo took over as a starter, and like we've talked about with the play of Dak Prescott. But, yeah, these Packer fans have had Hall of Fame quarterback play for a lot of years.
Well, you know what? Are they 3-1? They're 3-1.
Exactly.
They're not putting up 45 points on average, but they're not bad. So it's not like, you know, we can't get a first down. So, you know, I think it's a little too soon to be pushing the panic button.
Well, I want to ask you, as we saw Tony Romo there, I know you weighed in on it this week, but what are your thoughts when the Cowboys ultimately have to make a decision?
You know, I've always been a fan of Tony, and that hasn't changed. But you can't look past how well Dak Prescott has played and how well they have played with him. And so I think to break that, you know, chemistry like this, I mean, the clutch plays and clutch times, I mean, and I know Tony has done it, but I just feel like that you can't break that right now.
And he hangs in the pocket with great protection, and that's one of the things that certainly has helped him in being able to be comfortable back there. And then, of course, the running game. But I'm with you. You play this game long enough, Dak doesn't know how hard it is to get this kind of momentum as an offense or as a team. And if you have it, you better ride it. And why would anyone want to disrupt that? I don't know.
Yeah, and I find it hard to believe that I know Jerry made the comment a week or two ago that Tony's his quarterback, and I appreciate his. Wow,
that's Cole Beasley again for the touchdown.
Unbelievable.
Well, the Packers right now are just outmatched because of injury on the corners, and they run the bootleg with Prescott to get him out on the edge, but you're going to see the route then that Beasley runs on Ladarius Gunner. It was too easy for Prescott and Beasley.
Well, what we do know is it's been a great day for Brett Favre, and we sure appreciate you taking the time to come up and join us here today. I tell you what, we miss seeing you play, man. Everybody does.
Well, I appreciate that. I think, you know, I tell people all the time, one of the things that mean the most to me is when people say that, more so than anything, that they really enjoyed watching me play. And that's what it was all about for me.
All the best, man.
Thanks.
Good seeing you, my man. You're the best.
It's Been a mighty impressive game and still a long way to go. It's not over. 10:26 to play, but the Dallas Cowboys rolling into Lambeau Field with a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back who, by the way, is again over 100 yards rushing. 4 consecutive games. And as good as it's been for the Cowboys, off the mark for Aaron Rodgers.
Just another frustrating afternoon for Aaron Rodgers and really this entire offense. There hasn't been many good moments. You know, as you said, coming into the game, at 3-1, but it was really more because of what they had been able to do on defense, and the frustration continues. And the one thing that this offense, whether it's been coming into this game or in previous years with Aaron Rodgers, is they have always protected the football, but today they turned it over 3 times. That's very uncharacteristic.
First down throw and catch for Randall Cobb. Cuts it back to the inside, and he's up to the 38-yard line.
The other thing that's made it really hard for this offense, makes it hard for any offense, is when you're not getting big chunks down the field, and the big plays have been hard to come by.
I got to tell you, and just getting away after that catch for a minute. For a guy who grew up watching football, was never good enough to play it. To be standing here next to you and Brett Favre at the same time, doesn't get much better than that, my man.
Well,
that's good stuff. And you know,
talked about the games that I had against Brett and the Packers and the Cowboys, and some really meaningful games. And I loved competing against him, and he's always been one of my favorite guys. And I thoroughly enjoyed, once I got into broadcasting, get a chance to have the best seat in the house and watch him, you know, work his magic on so many Sunday afternoons. And just a really great guy, and he's been a great friend. And it was good to see him here and see this crowd give him the reaction that he has certainly deserved.
You know, the thing that is just staggering to me, and everybody knows he holds the NFL record, 297 consecutive starts. If you include the playoffs, that mark went to 321 consecutive starts at that position. That's just beyond incredible.
Well, he's kind of set the standard as far as those guys that are expected to come out and play each and every Sunday. And I always think that as we see Barry Church leave the field again, that I think that's the greatest thing you can do for an organization, is let them know you're going to be available each and every Sunday. And nobody did that better than Brett Favre.
They run it with Lacey. Sean Lee again on the stop. The Green Bay Packers have kicked 3 field goals today. They have scored a touchdown in every home game started by Aaron Rodgers since he took over as a starter. His career record is 49-12 at Lambeau Field. But a long way to get back into this one. And Jordy Nelson gets his 3rd catch. Aaron Andrews mentioned a moment ago that Bulaga was shaken up on that Rodgers fumble, and now he walks to the locker room.
Well, this is familiar ground for this Cowboys defense. They've been up big in a lot of games in the 4th quarter, and they'll give up those throws. They're just going to make the offense methodically drive it down and keep them from getting the big plays.
You know, there again is something we alluded to earlier. You can hear the crowd. This is a frustrated, they would be the first to admit, a spoiled crowd when it comes to offensive football. Not liking what they're watching so far.
Well, I haven't liked what I've watched so far either. I mean, they just have not been very good, and they just have not, they don't establish any rhythm whatsoever, and no one's playing with any confidence.
Good throw there. Nelson turns it to the inside rather than the outside. I mean, you try to keep every precious second you can.
The Packers, in the month of October, they haven't lost since 2010. They've won 11 straight. So for the Cowboys to come in and be able to do what they've been able to do is impressive for that young team, especially when you have a rookie at quarterback and running back.
Rodgers, beautiful throw there. That is vintage Rodgers on that strike to Jordy Nelson.
Well, this is about as good a throw as I've seen all day. It's tight coverage. You got safety help over the top, and yet you've got to thread the needle. And for Jordy Nelson, you know you're going to take a hit with the safety playing over the top, and he hangs on to it, and Aaron Rodgers throws a perfect ball.
Lynn, fire coming. Hold. Fire coming.
Hey, Wolf. U19.
Fake it to Montgomery. Throw it to Montgomery. Back to the inside, and he's to the 6-yard line. They'll bring up second down, and that clock ticking to 7:15. Montgomery knocking on the door of 100 receiving yards, and he has 10 catches. And make it 11. Or this is Cobb, 18, not 88. So Randall Cobb to the end zone, and that is the first touchdown thrown in the second half of a game this year for Aaron Rodgers. Took 5 weeks to get it.
Well, they block it up on the outside. They get the ball to Cobb. You're going to see here Jordy Nelson. He comes off the ball. He's going to block the entire way, designed specifically for Cobb to get the reception and then follow in behind Jordy Nelson, and they finish off this drive for a touchdown, and one that they desperately needed in order to try to put a little bit of pressure on this Cowboys offense to do something on that side of the ball again.
Well, they'll take the traditional point after a flag is down to make it. Oh, we'll wait on the penalty. You know, it's interesting to note, you see Jason Garrett there. You go back to November of 2010. It was a 45-7 rout by the Green Bay Packers of the Dallas Cowboys, which prompted the head coaching change. Wade Phillips was let go after that game, and that's when Jason Garrett was named the head coach of the Cowboys.
Well, as we see Jason Garrett here trying to figure out exactly what's going on, I think Jason Garrett has really done a nice job with his club. We talked about some of the injuries, some of the things that they've had to overcome, and yet he's been able to keep them focused at the task. And here's another look at what might have been the penalty.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 95 of the receiving team for leverage. Kicking team has opted to keep the point. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the succeeding kick.
That was the right call. You can't jump in the air and then land on an opponent.
Sponsored by Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL.
Well, the Cowboys have all but one expecting the onside kick. There's a little pop-up that'll be handled by Whitten.
Yeah, they didn't get that bounce they were hoping to, and that was an easy one for Jason Whitten to handle.
Well, coming up later tonight, we shift gears over to baseball. Will the postseason streak of bad luck for Clayton Kershaw come to an end? Dodger fans are hoping like crazy. I know he got a save during that division series. Coming off an injury. He'll go against Kyle Hendricks. See his postseason career an ERA of over 5. They hand it off to Ezekiel Elliott. And we go downstairs to Aaron Andrews.
Well, I love Brett Favre saying to you guys he thought Lambeau would be too big for Dak Prescott. I was actually asking Dak during pregame warm-ups what he thought of Lambeau Field, and he said, it's cool, but I've played in Baton Rouge at LSU. I've played in Alabama. All right, but greatest line from wide receivers coach Derek Dooley about Dak and how nothing rattles him. He said his pulse never gets high. He's like Hannibal Lecter. He always just stays so calm. Such a good line.
Well, that makes you feel really good. They give it to Elliott again.
I thought it was interesting when I met Dak for the first time. It was before our Week 1 game when they were playing the New York Giants, and I asked him how he thought he would feel going into that game as his first NFL start, if he gets nervous or what maybe he has to go through to settle himself down, and he said he simply does not get nervous, and I don't think he does. I mean, that's why he shows the great poise that he does, and I think Aaron makes a good point in our conversation with Dak that his background in the SEC and some of those environments that he had to play in, and they were the underdog, and he's been the underdog in a lot of ways for a good part of his life, and yet he's risen to the occasion. Every job that he's had, whether it was in high school, college, or now, has been because of injury to the starter, and he's never relinquished the job. And we'll see what happens here in Dallas.
Cowboys call a timeout before third down. Well, by and large, you pick up a first down here, and you're very close to putting this thing on ice. 5:27 to go, an 11-point lead, and they convert to who else? Jason Witten.
Well, Dom Capers, defensive coordinator, he brings pressure. He's going to bring one more than they can pick up, and yet Prescott's able to hang in there and deliver a good ball under duress to Jason Witten to keep this drive alive. That's pretty nice. It's been a good matchup right there between those two guys throughout this game, Morgan Burnett and Zeke Elliott. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. That's what usually gives those young rookie running backs problems, is pass protection, and he's awfully good there too.
So that's a first down, and the clock will spin now below 5 minutes, and we'll see a whole boatload of Ezekiel Elliott now. Still on his feet inside the 40 to the 30. Elliott to the outside, dragged down to the 21-yard line, and for Elliott, that will be his 4th consecutive game of over 130 rushing yards. That has never been done by a rookie in the NFL.
Well, he showed some of his power here, because to get to that second and third level of this defense, he had to break a tackle at the line of scrimmage, and he's an impressive young man. He's gotten a lot of carries, just 15 carries last week. It's the fewest carries that he's had this season. He's yet to have a game beyond that where he's had less than 20 carries. Most carries in the NFL coming into the game, and you start thinking, okay, well, how much do you want to, I know he says feed me, but how often do you want to do that? He wants the ball as often as he can get it, and I know the Cowboys, as long as he's doing what he's doing, they're going to keep giving it to him, and yet they don't want to overwork him, because he has gotten a lot of work through the early part of this season.
The first question you asked Troy Aikman before this game began was who would win the battle, the offensive line of the Cowboys or the defensive line of the Packers. And there you see some of the savvy play of Elliott going down inbounds. The first 4 games of this season, the Green Bay Packers allowed 171 rushing yards. The Cowboys today, 178. Now, before we go further, Roger Staubach, legendary figure in the history of the NFL, came out earlier this week and heard a lot of the same thing that we heard from Brett Favre a minute ago about what to do. The Cowboys have a bye week next week, barring a miracle here. They're going to go to 5-1. They'll play in 2 weeks from today against the Philadelphia Eagles. If Romo were well enough to play, even if it's a week after that, the way the Cowboys are playing, what do you do?
I just don't think you can disrupt the momentum that this team has. As I said when we were talking with Brett Favre, it's hard to get. And when you have it, you ride it. And the odds are they're going to need Romo at some point in this season, whether they start him or not. When you think back, when Bill Belichick decided to stick with Tom Brady at quarterback, Drew Bledsoe had to come in the AFC Championship game against Pittsburgh to help win that ball game. And odds are they're going to need Tony Romo at some point. But to put him out there when this team, not just the way Prescott's playing, but the way this team is playing, I just know from experience, these are runs that don't come around very often. And I wouldn't self-inflict any punishment to keep that from happening.
Well, the other part of this equation is so important, Troy, and you'll know better than I'll ever know, or anybody watching will ever know, about the importance of a decision like that inside the locker room. And really outside of Witten, you look at this entire Dallas offense, including the offensive line, very, very young. Romo missed virtually the entire year last year. So it's been 2014 since he last played regularly. So a lot of these young guys they're getting pretty familiar with Prescott now, and maybe are not necessarily, it's not that they want anything bad to happen to Romo, but this might be the guy and the time now.
Well, I think there's some real excitement for those that are Cowboys fans, and there certainly is in the Dallas community. When you look at young players like Prescott and like Ezekiel Elliott, and there's some others as well, but when you see those two guys in particular and you think, wow, they can be with this club for a long time and you can build something around them, people are excited about this club, and they should be.
32-yard field goal try to make it a 30-16 game, and Bailey, when healthy, is virtually automatic. You brought up the name Drew Bledsoe. Remembers 2001. It's a replacement business. Sometimes that hits you right between the eyes. That's what happened to me with Brady, and again now with Tony Romo. I don't know if it's time for Tony, but it's something that every quarterback has to confront.
Well, he's right, and I know there has been conversation, and people have said you don't lose your job to injury. I'm not a believer in that. I never have been. Even as a player, I didn't like that. I think you play the guys who give you the best chance to win, and if you're winning, like I said, you kind of stick with the hot hand. But I believe that they'll need Tony at some point. And as I said earlier in this ball game, usually what happens when you have decisions like this, they tend to kind of resolve themselves. I think Jason Garrett has handled the situation exceptionally well. I know the owner, Jerry Jones, came out and made a comment and said when Tony's healthy, he's going to start. Backed off of it a little bit a couple days later. Jason Garrett has not commented on that, nor should he, because until Romo is healthy and ready to play, there's no reason for anyone within that organization to have that discussion. That's what we're paid for, to talk about it. And that's what the media is paid for, and that will continue. And it's been talked about for about 5 weeks.
Ty Montgomery's had a terrific game here today, trying to make it even better. A nice return all the way across the 40-yard line. They might have something in this Ty Montgomery. Even here in a disappointing offensive night for the Packers, he's had an outstanding game. That'll start your Sunday NFL kickoff and America's #1 pregame show. Troy, you and I will get a look at the unbeaten Minnesota Vikings going to Philadelphia. Eagles won their first 4. Now they've lost their last 2.
Well, that defense is for real. And you talk about a team overcoming injuries. They lose their starting quarterback and their starting tailback, arguably the best runner in football, and yet they continue to win games.
Catch made by Cobb.
How about the job Rick Spillman, the general manager? They gave up a lot to Sam Bradford, and a lot of people had question marks about him, and how his career has gone.
Yep.
North Turner has done an outstanding job with him, and he's playing good football.
And you know all about that defense. You and I were talking last night about former Dallas assistant. As the ball is picked up, it's a fumble by Rodgers, and then picked up by Jason Spriggs, who's filling in for Balaga. Looked like Irving again stripped the ball. Irving is playing a big part in this Dallas defense again today.
Got a left hand just on it, you're right, and they're banging Roger around pretty good, but just still holding the ball.
And the ball is loose again. And I think the Cowboys have it again. They do. That is a 4th turnover for the Green Bay Packers.
It's been a long, long time since you've seen the Packers play this poorly at home. The ball's been on the ground a lot, and just no execution on the offensive side of the ball. And it looked like his left knee might have been down. That one may come back.
And I think that was David Irving again who stripped that football. That would be 3 strips for Irving in this second half alone.
Well, David Irving, who...
The ruling on the field is a fumble with recovery by Dallas. That play is under review.
He didn't play last week. He had a concussion. He came back, and he's been a versatile guy for them, and he's had a heck of a day.
Booth review, as is always a story on a change of possession.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Dallas.
Football belongs to the Cowboys. It is turnover number 4. So we take a look at the NFC North standings. All of a sudden the Lions win 2 in a row. And they go to 3-3. Knocked off the Eagles last week. Green Bay about to go to 3-2. And we talked about Minnesota unbeaten. A bye week this weekend. And we'll have the Vikings at Philadelphia next weekend. What about the NFC East? Washington Redskins, Troy, have ripped off 4 consecutive wins. And Philly now 3-2. Cowboys about to go to 5-1.
Well, that was a big win for Washington, no doubt. You know, to keep pace with the Cowboys looking like they're going to win here today, and to tighten up that NFC East race.
Well, the Giants got a win today. That was a big win against Baltimore to go to 3-3. 2-minute warning. Cowboys about to celebrate another win and a big one in Green Bay.
Today's game is sponsored by Fitbit. Find your fit.
Take a look at the quarterback play today. The rookie Prescott, along with his running mate, fellow rookie Ezekiel Elliott, 150 rushing yards for Elliott. Boy, it's a quiet 150 today. If there is such a thing as a quiet 150. Elliott will get a few more carries as we're down to 2 minutes. Well, time permitting, we'll have some bonus coverage coming your way. Just under 2 to go and a wild one. Seattle scores a touchdown and now kicks a field goal to take a 2-point lead over Atlanta.
You talk about Ezekiel Elliott and his day-to-day running the football. This offensive line, you know, they lost their starting left guard, Lel Collins, and they bring in Ronald Leary, who had been the starter prior to them signing Collins, and I'm not so sure they haven't gotten better in that offensive line. But this big group, 3 Pro Bowlers, they just beat you up. And you start out initially doing some good things, but like all good running games, as you get going and you move into the second half and into the fourth quarter, they just wear you down. And this is a tough physical group. And once again, it's almost expected the way the Cowboys have run the ball here today. And I thought coming in, Tom, that the Packers might have some trouble holding up just because I've seen this group so many times and what they've been able to do. But I didn't expect this, because I did think the Packers were a decent club stopping the run. Their numbers showed they were number 1. But I thought that their numbers might have been inflated a little bit, but not to the extent that the Cowboys have exploited in this game. And there's the offensive line coach. He's coaching up all those rock stars up there.
Yeah.
And what a job he has. He played offensive line for the 49ers back in the 90s, and when he retired, he decided to go into business and decided that wasn't for him, and ultimately hooked on with Bill Callahan, who had been his coach in college. And Callahan brought him to Dallas when he was calling plays the 1 year, and he's been the offensive line coach ever since. And he's got a lot of great talent to work with, but he's done a nice job.
Producer of today's game, Richie Zions. Our director, Rich Russo. The associate directors, Jake Jolivet and Rich Gross. Thank our entire crew, Brandon Terralavaro and Ian Martin, our broadcast associates. And thanks to Scott Snyder, Tom Barbary, and our entire crew up here in the booth and in Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Mike Steve Pack, the mayor of Green Bay, and all his great hosting over the weekend. So Mike McCarthy's team loses for the second time, 30-16 the final. And let the debate begin. The next time the Cowboys take the field, is it Prescott? Is it Romo at quarterback? The Cowboys are 5-1.